Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter the offer code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to get 10% off. Now, Kevin, what were you poking me with during that read?
I just wanted to see if you were going to be a professional and keep reading.
And I nailed it, didn't I?
You nailed it.
Like you, Kevin.
And then use the thing like you're a submarine pitcher, you know, like a closer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
So I thought these were mugs for cereal, but they are in fact coffee mugs.
I did see someone earlier eating cereal out of it.
That's not how you do things.
It's huge mug. We need these at the house.
It's a huge
and I'm not
mug,
saying we
but
go
it's a
buy
small
these. I'm saying
cereal
we
bowl.
take
Yeah,
a
that's true.
shitload of them.
Oh, we
before
just
really-
steal?
It's like a Central Perk mug.
Yeah.
This is like a Central Perk mug.
Yeah.
Over there, the
enjoy
Pier 1
that.
Tim Gettys.
I also have a mug. It was
Over-
a last-minute game decision. I don't know.
A last-minute game decision.
Hey, you know what?
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been streaming since 10 a.m. We're at Patreon. We streamed last night, too. I was going to get to that later, but the jig's blown. We're stealing mugs. We've got a robot behind us. There's a stranger next to me.
It's not a robot.
It's part of a robot, is it not?
Starship.
It is the part of a replica of the Millennium Falcon cockpit, which is slightly robotic.
Thank you.
There's robotics involved.
There's robotics.
The one busting my balls, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
And then
Yeah,
the
real
guy here in
close.
the green hat, Jack Conte. How are you, Jack?
I'm so great.
We're in your office right now.
This is true.
This is Patreon HQ. We're here. This episode of the GameOverGreggy show being recorded and broadcasted to people on Twitch right now, who we are ignoring because we're making the YouTube podcast they love
What
so much
up?
and everything else. But we're at Patreon for GDC doing our live stream here again. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Do you guys not like us being here? We're very loud, I know. We eat a lot of your food
it's
too.
a pain in the ass, but you
Yeah.
know we deal with it because it's important for the business.
Yeah, exactly. We are
Right.
the most important creators on Patreon.
Right, that's right. So we suck it up and we let you guys ruin our week.
I'm glad. Thank you very much. That means a lot to
I'm
us.
surprised at the acoustics of this whole thing. When you're out there, we're not that loud, which
Yeah.
is surprising.
All of these are sound absorbing panels on
Yeah,
the left
it's
and the
impressive.
right side. Yeah.
you guys got your shit down.
Well, it's set up to be a studio.
That's good.
Yeah.
You do
And it
shows.
works like
I've
one.
seen you do podcasts and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah, we
streams.
do a monthly show from this room.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about how long it'll take you to set it back up after Kevin tore it all apart yesterday
That's
to put
right.
our stuffs in. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Yeah.
Kevin, go ahead and count us in.
Kevin, why don't you count us in?
Kevin, can we get an in count?
We're in.
That's not counting. That's just saying we're in. That's
Yeah,
not.
guys, he's just being efficient. Let's be honest. Why waste the numbers?
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the GameOverGreggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. This table does not take shit.
It's not this table.
We have an IKEA table at home that when you pound on, it like thunders. And this table's like not having that.
No, I like that.
I love that song.
It's a great song.
We're gonna sing that later.
Are we?
Yeah.
What's that
Okay.
even mean?
Because here's what always happens. One of us always says a song.
Yeah.
And then like 3 days later or 2 hours later, sometime I'll hum it and then we start singing it.
Yeah.
Thunderstruck. Thunderstruck. You've been thunderstruck.
God damn it, AC/DC. Let's get the guy who always wears a little schoolboy uniform on this
Seamus.
show, huh?
The
How about
Seamus?
that?
I don't know what you're talking about. But
If you like this
I'm
show,
into
you
it.
can go to patreon.com/kindafunny and get it early by tossing us a few bucks, and you'll also get an exclusive episode and a bunch of cool perks. But if you have no money to toss our way, no big deal. Head to youtube.com/kindafunny where we post it topic by topic, day by day, until the entire show posts for free on Fridays. On the YouTubes, on the MP3 services, everywhere. So subscribe wherever you can and rate us. Now, Jack, I know you're a big Game Over Greggy show fan. You listen to it all the time.
Every single one of them.
You've heard.
I've been at all the live chats.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say.
our live chats.
Yeah, exactly. Live chats are great for the Game Over Greggy show. Usually we dick around more in the beginning, but we already started dicking around talking about Patreon and everything else. I want to talk about you as topic number 1,
All right.
which is heavily influenced by Patreon
All right.
and how that all comes together. So for everyone watching or listening, who the fuck are you and why are you here?
Yeah. So my name is Jack Conte. I am half of a band called Pomplamoose. It's a indie rock band with my girlfriend Natalie.
People like that band a lot.
Some people hate that band a lot.
Well, that's just the internet.
Interesting fact. We are kind of
know
a
all about
polarizing
that.
band.
Yeah.
Man, there's a topic.
You want to do that one?
Oh boy.
That's a great topic.
Yeah, that's
We
a
can-
good one. But no, let's stick
You're
with
the
the
topic
topics.
this time. We have to talk about you first.
Yeah.
though.
Well, I mean, the internet hating him's part of it. I don't know
That's
anymore.
that's part of it. Almost 3 years. Wow, 3 years ago. About 3 years ago now. Got sick of getting $200 AdSense checks at the end of every month for millions of views on my YouTube channel. I was like, fuck this. And I called up my freshman year roommate, Sam Yam. I pitched him this idea of like, what if fans were able to contribute $1 for everything that gets released or every month that creators are releasing stuff? He built it out in 3 months by himself. It was an amazing effort. We launched, then within a couple of weeks, it was called Patreon. Within a couple of weeks, my Patreon page was making like $5,000 a month, and I was making a couple music videos a month at the time. And then we got venture capital and raised $2 million and hired some more folks. And then we did another round of venture funding and raised $15 million and hired more people and got this building and started building a company. And then we were 25 people suddenly working on Patreon. And now 3 years later, we've raised in total now like $47 million. We're a little over 50 people and we're plugging away and trying to make a really impactful, important company that helps people like you guys and
Well,
like
you did
me
it.
make a living.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've done it. I say it all the time. Every time I give a panel or I come here and speak about it, like you guys changed our lives, and we can never thank you enough for that.
God, thanks, man.
Like, at what point in your process did you go like, oh wow, this is becoming a much bigger thing than I thought?
Yeah, I describe it as being like a slow fade in. Like there was never a moment where I was like, okay, and now Patreon. Like that didn't happen. It was like this slow fade. Okay, now we're working on this, and now we need to hire these people, and now we need to like do this, and then suddenly I found myself doing less and less, and the team doing more and more. But that just meant I had to do different types of things.
Sure.
And it's kind of just scaled beyond what I certainly expected or imagined, and is far more complex and crazy than I could have ever imagined. But yeah, there was no moment. It was this slow fade in.
Because for us, when we get to hang out with you guys, it's always stark jumps. You know what I mean? Like it's night and day where I'll never, I was talking the story of when we went to that VidCon where on the way down, Tim's like, we should look into this Patreon thing when we get back. I was like, okay. And I came out of that thing and we were signing autographs and these kids ran up to us like, oh my, Greg Miller, holy shit. Blah. And I was talking to them and took a photo with them. And then I looked down and they were wearing Patreon shirts.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, oh, you guys know the Patreon guys? And like, oh no, we are the Patreon. I'm Sam and this. And I'm like, what the fuck? And we're like, you guys know us? You know what I mean? Like, and then we came here and it was like, what, it was the week they moved in, the week after you guys moved in?
You guys just
the
got
walls
in.
were bare.
You had absolutely nothing, but you had the bare essentials. You had a Wii U set up.
Yeah.
And we played Mario Kart 8, and that's really all that matters.
Just the basics. Yeah.
But then you jump ahead to, we came back here then last year to do the GDC stream.
Yep.
And it was like, wow, there's so many more people here and this is crazy. And then this year you come here and there's dozens more people. You've knocked out that wall and you can go in there now and there's all these different offices and Cole isn't sitting over here at the balance beam
We have an
anymore
LA
working.
office now.
Do you really? I didn't even know that.
Folks, now we just opened an LA office. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So why? Like, that's the thing is like, what do all these people do? So when it was just like you five guys,
that was gonna be my
That
question
is
too.
the
Is you were
fucking
like,
best question. I love that question because has this like I look at YouTube and I'm like, there's a fucking 1,000 engineers working at YouTube. What are they doing? What are you guys doing? And it's amazing. It's like for me one of the most like impressive and amazing things about like being at this company on the inside is seeing what people do and like how much expertise and management and maintenance and problem solving and upkeep and effort goes into what some people think is a website. It's like,
Right.
oh, you have a website, like, so you fix some bugs and what? but like the ingenuity and genius of product thinking and the engineers and the product folks here and the level that they go to systematize and productize problems and solutions, it requires hundreds of thousands of man hours and woman hours and thinking and care. And I mean, the amount of work is unfathomable. It's unfathomable. And I didn't ever appreciate it until I saw it from the inside. But I wish I could explain more, but it would literally take me hundreds of hours to explain all of the things that need to be done to keep payments going through every month to you guys.
And so when you hit up Sam that first time, like, hey, I would like to make more than $200.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you didn't think of any of those problems, those hurdles, right?
No, I had no idea. I've been an artist for 10 years. I had no idea like how to run teams, or I'd never had a job before. This is my first job.
Wow. Like your first office ever to come into?
I have never had a job. I have never come into an office. I have never. Yes, this is the
So what, at
first time.
13, you just pick up a guitar and you're like, I'm hitting the road, ma.
Yeah, I mean,
No, you did not.
Hang on, no. I went to college.
Oh, okay.
And then when I got out of college, I started a band and we started making money, and that was it.
What'd you go to college for?
Music.
Okay. So I was in line. You're using your degree, all right.
Yeah.
It's not like you want to get one of these biology degrees you never do anything with.
No.
No, who do anything with biology?
Exactly.
Very functional music.
Yeah, exactly. That
exactly.
guaranteed money.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the cool thing to me is that you still have your Patreon account.
Yeah.
You work at Patreon. You
Yeah.
own Patreon. It's a whole thing. There's now 56 employees, something like that. Mm-hmm. Do many people have Patreon accounts themselves?
Yes, a lot of them do. Cole, you guys know Cole, who
do know Cole.
runs sales. He actually has a webcomic that he
No, he doesn't.
produces. Yes, he does.
Why does he
Why
tell us
didn't he
this?
So it's about hockey. So like,
Nice.
if you're not a hockey
that's why
fan,
he
you
didn't
wouldn't
tell us about it.
understand. But it's really funny, and he gets a great response from the community. Then we have Christine has her own Patreon page. She has the most wonderful voice. Oh my fuck, she sounds just like it's like just the most melting singing ever, and she's just wonderful. She started a Patreon page. She's making a couple $100 a month.
What's her Patreon page?
Have you
look
heard
us
of
up too.
Christine? Yeah. No, CH.
Oh,
CH.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
so
she's wonderful.
my girlfriend, is the one of them K's.
Right.
This one, Donaldson?
Yeah, that's her.
Let's see what we got over here.
Yep. She's also
Christine
like an
Donaldson.
amazing skier and has these GoPro videos of her like shredding down like triple black diamonds, and like she's amazing. Anyway, she has a Patreon page. A lot of the folks here, I'd say half the team plays music. One of our team events.
This is Sail Away.
Let's listen.
By Christine Donaldson.
There you go. You were right. All those sounds you made are exactly what this is.
Yeah.
She works here. How lucky are we? It's
Damn.
amazing.
Damn, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question is, and I've always wondered this about you guys since we kind of got involved, is, and I know you're a private company, I'm not asking for any specifics or whatever, but like, is the company on the, because you had multiple rounds of funding and stuff, is the company on its way to being quite profitable and quite successful in the long term? Because like I've asked myself in the past, like, how can you guys charge so little?
Yeah.
Like 5% plus credit card transactions takes about 9.5%. How do you guys survive on that? Because I feel like you were going to eventually need to charge more, but is that an improper kind of assumption, or are you guys like fine at this 5% level? It's fascinating to me.
That's an amazing question. And yes, so I didn't understand any of this before coming here and talking with our investors and talking with other founders and teams about how to build companies and what investors are looking for in companies. Investors don't invest in companies unless they think they're going to be multi-billion-dollar companies. So the answer to your question is yes, our investors expect Patreon to be a multi-billion-dollar company. That's what they want. That's what we're all fighting for. The weird thing, and this is God, I'll never be able to convey this to people or to you guys. I came into this from the point of view of an artist, only looking at tech press and news as an artist. I came into this having so much skepticism around venture capital and around corporate infrastructure and that whole system. And my eyes have been opened. Like, our investors, the people who put money into Patreon, yes, they want it to be a multi-billion-dollar company, but they care about impact. Like, they want to do it the right way. Like our lead investor who invests in our Series A, if you walk into his house, there's commissions from artists all around the world. Sculpture, photography, painting. Like, he's on the board of SF MoMA. This guy cares about putting art in the world. That's really what he wants. And the best way to do that is to become a big ass, profitable, amazing company, because like economic incentives, really nothing trumps economic incentives. That's like a really great way to make lots of impact, is when you align mission with dollars. And like a lot of what we try to do here is do that, like align mission with value. And so yes, like we're on our way. We have a shit ton of work to do. It is hard, especially when our margin is so low. It's hard to like become a profitable entity, but we have to, and we're on our way. I mean, we're growing really fucking fast. We're signing up a ton of creators. We're signing up a ton of patrons. We're sending more and more money every month to creators. We have to be, if we're going to be on that trajectory. It just takes a lot of work to constantly find new categories and verticals to break into, right? To constantly up the product to make sure that we're serving creators in the ways that we need to. If you look at YouTube in 2006 and you look at YouTube today, the product it's a different product. It's like a different thing. I mean, you guys remember what YouTube looked like in 2006? That feeling that you have is what it should feel like to go on Patreon when we're in 2025. In 2025, when you look back at Patreon today, you should go, oh shit, how did we make that work? That's what you should feel like. And that's what we're doing over the next 10 years.
How many creators do you have now that are getting paid every month?
So we don't release that. What I can tell you is that I think the last number that we released was over 18,000.
Holy shit.
Over 18,000 creators making money in over 100 countries. We send money to over 100 countries around the world. We have some creators making like $500,000 a year or more. So like there's people who are like you guys building companies now, and the financing mechanism is patronage. I'm so fucking excited about that. Like, so financing.
It's great. Yeah, we like it.
It's just it gets me out of fucking bed in the morning to know that people are financing small business media companies through patronage. Like, I just think that's awesome.
So that gets you out of bed now. I mean, when did you notice the transition of it wasn't music anymore? Or it wasn't, your band. Not that you've given up on music or anything like that, but I mean, clearly the way you talk about this is a full-time job.
Yeah, it's full-time. It has not been full-time for the last 3 years. So the official switch for me was about 2 months ago when I started taking a salary as an employee at Patreon. Until then, I wasn't taking a salary as a person who worked here. I was just making my living using the product through my own videos.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was great because my own ass was on the line. Like, if we paid creators late, I fucking get paid late. Like, if the product breaks and you can't get new pledges, my product breaks and I can't get new pledges.
Sure.
If our email system breaks, my emails break. Like, it was important and I think helpful. Now there are creators way more successful like you guys than me. We don't need to prove that the product works anymore. You guys are proving that the product works. We don't need, it's not as useful for me to be spending time as a creator on Patreon. It is still useful, and so I still am a creator on Patreon, but the official switch, I think, came when we actually flicked on the salary switch for me, because I stopped making videos 6-7 months ago, and I don't have that income anymore, and I'm trying to live in San Francisco.
Not easy.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So is that something hard for you? I mean, as a guy who, the music's been your whole life, you haven't had a job.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, coping with change in identity and shit. Sorry, this is like getting kind of deep. I don't know.
That's what the show does sometimes.
Really?
Yeah,
we go
big
there.
time.
Yeah, like, fucking, I've always identified as an artist. Like, I spent my 20s saying like, fuck the man, and like, I'll never. Like, I noticed that people, when they hit 30, they transition from being an artist to helping other artists be artists, and I swore that I would never become that person. And now here I am, not making music videos, helping artists be artists.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to stop forever.
No.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. Like,
Right.
passion is passion, and if that can translate over to something else, then let it, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Gotta. Sometimes you have to go with the flow as far as that's concerned.
So that's the thing, is when I look at my life now and what I want, and like when I was going back to my studio to make music videos, I'd be in my studio and my brain would be at the office here. I'd be at the studio, my heart would be hanging with the team, thinking about how to be a better manager, thinking about recruiting people, and I couldn't fucking write songs anymore. It felt I felt like I was more used to the world elsewhere, and I was here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because I imagine when you make music, I've never been very musically inclined aside from like 8 years of marching band. What up?
He was the drum major.
I was the drum major for 3 years. Co-drum major for the first year, then drum major proper for 2 years.
What does that mean? Drum major.
Get up and show some of the moves.
It's not the bell person. Kevin thinks I'm the triangle player. There is a triangle player, but not in a marching band. Some marching bands might have triangle, but I don't think so. No, the drum major is just the conductor of the band. I don't know why they call him the drum major.
That's badass.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a leadership role for which I was ill-suited. But I think the point was, if your goal is to create art to sort of evoke emotion or change the world, then what better way to do that than what you're doing right now? You are literally changing the world.
There he
That was
is.
me as drum major.
That's him as the drum major.
You are a
Look at that
good-looking
hairline.
drum major.
I just want to point that out. Whenever I say I'm losing my hair, look at what it used to look like.
That's Widow's Peak.
Kevin probably should insert it there.
It was
I'll
beautiful.
send you a link.
You got a
Kevin
nice
has the
W
link.
there. It's
Thank
an
you.
upside-down W.
Thank you. You look like Eddie Munster.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you remember the Munsters.
Beautiful.
But I mean, literally, like, there are very few products that I can think of. There's a lot of, we live in the tech hub of the world right now. And there's a lot of products out there that make a lot of money, but I don't really know what the fuck they do.
Yeah.
And I really don't know, let's be honest, if any of them are going to be around 5 months from now, let alone 5 years from now. But I can honestly say that whatever form Patreon will take will still be around to fund artists, probably, I have to imagine, for a really long time in some way, just like YouTube, because it is a groundbreaking piece of technology. It is something that really, really can move the needle, for lack of a better real person term.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. It's been awesome, like Greg said, to sort of mirror that sentiment. Like when I came here at first, you guys were still hanging pictures, and now there's so many people here doing so many cool things, and everyone seems happy. That's the weird thing to me.
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. Like, what are you feeding them to keep them happy? Because Kevin is miserable.
Yeah.
And he only had one person working for us, and he hates us.
No, that's what I always talk about with the story, especially people who are like, I'm finally met with some of the Patreon guys. I'm like, what do you think? Like, they're all really nice. I'm like, I know, right? Like, I thought when we first met him, when we were here getting walked around with Tyler, I was like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? When are you guys gonna be slimy and want to take all the money and do this? And it never and even you, I was like, well, you're in charge. I'm sure you're a douchebag and you're awesome too. And I'm like, God damn it. Everyone here is fantastic and amazing, and they're all cool and hip, and you get your food brought in, and everybody's like, how can I help you? Here's my cell phone. I'm like, you're in charge of this division. Why are you asking me to text you on Sundays?
Yeah,
It's pretty outrageous, for sure.
You do.
The one thing that I respect about Patreon so much, because I remember when we were talking about leaving IGN, so in 2014 or whatever, in summer, we really started to marinate on like, can we leave and how would it look and what would we do? And I remember we kicked around the idea of like a Kickstarter or like one of these kind of more traditional crowdfunding things, which I was super uncomfortable with. I don't believe in Kickstarter because it's like there's no accountability. There's no it's like a lump sum payment. People run away with this money. You don't reach expectations. People are disappointed. What I loved about Patreon is it's basically, we just treat it like a subscription. And if you don't like the podcast or you don't like what you're getting, you can get out. And that makes me feel good because I'm like, well, you're not disappointed. You didn't wait a year, 18 months or 2 years for us to deliver on something that you weren't disappointed in. You knew right away it wasn't for you. And I love that cycle. So
It's a shorter feedback cycle.
yeah, it's perfect. And what we found is that, we were nervous. I mean, but we're well beyond our metric for even high success. I mean, Patreon has allowed us to do, I assume we're one of the biggest creators on Patreon. I don't know if that's true or not.
I just say we are. You are. By far, and no one's ever going to stop us.
I was saying in interviews without us, Patreon would fold. Yeah. Like, there's no way they would keep going.
We're the 1%.
With the $3,000 they make a month off of us.
Jokes aside on that, though, like, have you seen, because of us, I think the education process is the most important thing about Patreon, and understanding the difference between something like Kickstarter and Patreon, and just what is Patreon, and is it safe, and this and that. Like, I feel like the more creators doing stuff, the more people know about it, and it kind of just like goes from there. Have we done anything to educate the people that you've seen kind of grow Patreon?
Yeah. So actually, we did a study the other day. Pages like yours drive lots of other creators to sign up for Patreon.
Interesting.
In fact, if you look at how Patreon grows because creators launch. And then a creator launches, and a certain percentage of their fans are creators themselves.
Gotcha.
They see that launch. They land on a page that says $25,000 per month, and they go, holy shit, I could do that. And then they launch, and then that causes more creators to launch. And you get that kind of network effect, right?
Yeah.
That virality of creators launching causes more creators to launch. So yes, like the way you guys do this show and stream to fans, like I guarantee you there are creators in the audience right now watching the show, hearing about Patreon and you guys making $25,000 a month, going, fuck, I should should do that. And even if it's only $2,000 a month, that would allow me to work 10 hours less
Right.
at Starbucks or
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
And then that's that cycle that just propagates.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, even from us, we've seen that. Like with Greg's girlfriend Steimer and with my friend Alfredo, like both of them have launched Patreons that are super successful. Like they're just allowing them to just keep doing what they're doing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And it's cool. Like it's cool that then now our audience understands that. So when they launch it, it's just like, oh, Patreon, I already have one. And I love seeing whenever we click on when we do our like thank you videos or whatever, you click on the users and it's like also a patron of, and then it's comedy button and
Christine
Steimer
and
Alfredo,
It's
yeah.
like
So-
such a tight knit thing.
Now, actually, when a creator launches on Patreon, the community is big enough now on Patreon. When a creator launches, 40% of their patrons that become patrons of them are already patrons on Patreon.
Yeah.
That's
like
cool.
you
That's
almost
really cool.
double your patronage by coming to Patreon and having people like who already have accounts and are already patrons of other creators become patrons of you.
That's the, I think the biggest barrier to entry, right, is like, oh, I'd have to sign up for this other service and da-da-da. So once
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
signed up, it becomes so easy to actually shop around or like, I'll go in and I'll search for stuff, right? There was a comic artist I was following for a while that totally just ran into her art, like searching for comic art. I was like, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'll be here. I'll back you for this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That happens to me all the time. I find new creators that I didn't know, like were on Patreon, or some creator who every once in a while I'll click through on my home feed, recommended creators, and see some new creator that I just make something that's just fucking beautiful, like some crazy portrayal of a hippopotamus nightmare. I don't know. There's some crazy
Fantasia.
artwork on,
Yeah.
like just weird dark fantasy art. There's
A lot of it's
it
hanging in your
crazy.
bathroom.
Actually, it's
seen
because
that.
we reach out to those creators when we see their stuff and we like them. We say, "Hey, can we commission a piece
Yeah.
from you for the walls here?" And they're super excited about that. And so we
Yeah.
get this awesome artwork.
Well, that's what I've always loved about this place. When you come here, the site and the business is built on being a community. And when you come here, you guys asked us early on if we could contribute something for the walls, and we brought in, the Panda Musk poster that we sell, the Ghostbusters 2
amazing.
one,
Oh, God.
and that's up. But I mean, you walk around and you see everyone's art, and then you have the whole picture wallpaper where we've signed. We still need to fill in our thing. We'll do that tomorrow.
Great.
But there's all these things up of like, Jared Leto was here, and I saw Max and Brian were here one
Yeah.
day, and this, that, and the other, and there's a Babs photo or a drawing from last year on our
Yeah.
stream or whatever. It's like, this is rad. You feel like it's a business that isn't so much a business as it is a community in a weird way.
Yeah. Man, it's so funny. I was just at this great conference, and the people at this conference were so good at, like, everyone knew your name. They sat you next to, there's arranged seating every night. They sat you next to people that you would learn from. Like I sat next to this awesome guy who was running this media conglomerate out of Brazil, and he was like working on licensing and all these things that I would probably have to know about like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And like I learned so much, but like that was deliberate, right? This organization that runs the conference, their product, if you will, is like relationships, is like is community, really.
Sure.
It's community, and it's almost like what they get out of that is incidental. It's like the relationships lead to transactions. It's not like transactions lead to relationships. And thinking of it like that just kind of changes everything. So yeah, I mean, we say here at Patreon, like, we are a creator first company. That's what we do. We help creators. And like every metric that we have that we optimize around is geared toward creators. So we don't track our revenue. We track money sent to creators. And we set up a business model where those things are proportional. So the more money we send to creators, the more money Patreon makes. But it means that everyone in the company and all of our investors and us, we can just focus on sending more money to creators.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That's nuts.
I'm a big fan.
Now, my one thing before we jump to your real topic, because we're talking about you,
Right.
and it's been Patreon heavy.
Yeah.
Were you always, when you were out and making this music on your own, being a rock star and stuff, were you always with the girlfriend? Was it always the band? Or were you ever on your own? Because it seems like if you're supposed to be a rock star, you're supposed to be single and have crazy ass stories. But if you're always tied to this girlfriend,
Oh, okay. So then in that sense, I've never been a rock star. Now, so Natalie and I have been dating for 10 years. We just got engaged a couple months ago.
hey, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm one of those weird, I don't know. I'm definitely not a rock star. Like, I prefer to be alone. I hate parties. I never went to parties in college.
Have you
I
met
don't
Colin?
like
You should talk
drinking.
to Colin.
Yeah, I'd rather be at home by myself. I think I should just wear that t-shirt like every day.
No, but it's good. That's a good way to be. It's just interesting because you know what I mean. You're one of these guys. You're in it for the music.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I know it's fucking cliche.
You're
or
in a
whatever
safe
to say,
place.
but,
Don't
but
worry.
I am.
Don't worry.
I love music. I love harmony and chords. I nerd out on audio engineering and filters and EQ and compression. I remember when I was learning how to make electronic music, I've read manuals. I spent 12 hours a day in my studio by myself for 2 years, like reading manuals on Native Instruments Massive, figuring out how to make talking bass sounds. Like, I just fucking love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
don't
great.
be ashamed of that. No one's gonna be mean about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool about Patreon too. Is your shit could be weird. It doesn't need to be beautiful art or anything.
Yeah.
Like you could do anything you want and get paid. I don't know. Is there any like things you can't do?
There are a couple things you can't
Snuff
do.
films.
Yeah. What can't you do?
You cannot do you can't do sexual favors.
Oh, okay.
You can't get paid for sexual favors.
Greg, we
But
gotta
can you
talk.
get paid? Can you do porn?
Our
Like, could porn
$500
stars-
tier.
Yeah, we gotta get that off. Sorry.
No, there's
Not
no
that way.
porn.
No porn.
But we're a fucking arts company. Like we have to have a liberal set of community guidelines. You got to be able to have nudity in your art. Like some of the greatest art in the world is naked bodies. Like we're not going to say that's not okay, but no porn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
okay.
and
there's
we-
a line. There has to be a line.
We have a 20-page document that details what exactly that line means. But
Now,
yeah,
if
there's-
you ever need someone to step in and look at something to let you know whether or not it's porn, I will gladly lend my talents for that. I
Quick-
feel like
Pro
I have
bono.
a pretty good base of knowledge for that
quick
subject.
story about that because I just have to.
Yes, please.
So there are teams at companies that do this. They enforce community guidelines, and sometimes the teams are called porn police. Sometimes the teams are called other things. Whatever it is.
Writing
Okay.
that down. I'm writing
Now,
it down because
hang
it
on
has
a
to be a
second.
porn police something.
That's
in
a
my life.
shirt.
That's a great shirt.
Hang on a second. So some of the shit, I bet, it sounds fun. Some of the shit is so dark that it changes those people's lives forever.
Really?
Like the shit that is on the corners of the dark internet can get so personally exhaustive and demoralizing and makes you lose your faith in humans that like it changes these people's lives. The guy who helped us sculpt this document, that's 20 pages, helped Facebook set up their community trust and safety policies, blah, blah, blah. As a fucking world expert, built the teams. They take down 2 million pages a week on Facebook. He taught a machine how to recognize child pornography and like algorithmically, just like dark shit. He fucking has to see like a therapist like regularly because it's so like terrifying. The 2 months that it took us to build this document of what you cannot do on Patreon was like some of the darkest 2 months of my life.
Man, you made porn police not fun.
I know. It was
no. Still fun the way I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
I mean, it could be cool.
it. Like the way I'm thinking about it is the opposite, where they actually are on porn shoots, and if you're not doing it right, they're like, "Stop! Let me show you the right way to use that baton."
I'm sorry, officer.
They dance like that.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
figured as much that's what's happening. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Jack,
Yes, sir.
what's your topic?
My topic is, would you rather, I love this topic. I'm so glad we're about to do this. This says so much about a person too.
Sure.
How you answer. Would you rather be able to fly or be able to teleport?
Teleport.
Oh, see, okay.
I have so many
Easy.
questions. I have so
Yeah.
many
Okay,
questions.
now
I don't
hang
need
on.
to
If
ask
you
questions.
ask questions, I have so many answers because
Okay.
I've thought about this deeply. So ask away.
So for flight,
Yes,
how fast can I fly?
you can fly a little bit, like twice as fast as you can run, but it's just as fucking hard as running. So the
Oh,
faster you fly,
shit.
by the time you get there, you're sweating and
Yeah,
your clothes are wet
yeah.
and you're kind of sticky afterwards and you're out of breath.
So what's the con to teleporting?
Teleporting
You shit
feels
yourself.
like an electric shock. It's like this shit
Oh.
times 10. So you teleport and it's like, and it's like it hurts for a few seconds afterwards.
Couple question marks.
And you can only
Yeah,
teleport, like 30 times in a 24-hour period.
Oh, dude, you're making teleports suck.
What?
30
Are you
times.
kidding
Wait,
me?
30 times?
30 times is more than enough to get anywhere.
I'm sure
I
there's
need
a
to
bunch
go.
of other. Yeah, so now do I have to? Can I? Is it like Nightcrawler? I got to see where I'm going.
No, you don't have to see where you're going.
All right, so from your house, I
okay.
can teleport from my house to your house.
That's
from
you
your
just
house.
put up two. That's one teleport.
Okay, fine. From my house to your house.
Yeah.
Then from your house to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And then back. And then
To Gia.
back again to Starbucks.
To Gia.
Right.
No, not yet.
You're not going to hit 30 times in a 24-hour period.
And then back. Yeah, and then I can go. Yeah, I can go all the way. to
Can I
Philadelphia.
go cray for a second?
Sure, please do.
You could teleport from here to the surface of Mars for 4 seconds and then teleport back.
So I'm not
Colin,
gonna
you
wait.
just got Colin.
Colin's in.
Wait, so but
Unless you had a spacesuit, in which case you could teleport there and
Then you can teleport there and hang out.
Had.
But if without a spacesuit, you'd be like,
Okay, so
boom, and then
you
go back.
may have just sold me because I would love to fuck with the astronauts that are monitoring the Curiosity rover. Just like run in front of it real quick. You know, and then write messages like do giant portraits of Mickey Mouse just in the rock faces that just kind of looks like him. Like
The porn police are watching.
Porn police just
defiling Mars' surface.
Dude, teleport is like so obviously the answer. I
No,
don't know.
see,
Who would
I
pick
disagree.
Who would pick flying?
I pick flying.
Well,
I have more
you're
so-
flying so slowly.
my question about flying
Yep.
is do I and I'm still the same strength, right?
Okay.
So I can't carry people? Can I carry people when I teleport?
Okay, so you can carry somebody, but it feels like giving them a piggyback ride.
Even if I'm carrying them like this?
Yeah, if you're carrying like this, it's about as hard as giving. So you
Okay,
can fly a little
okay.
bit, but then at some point, unless you're in really good shape, you gotta fly down.
So you can't
Flying
fly.
sucks.
So I feel like I approach this from the economic standpoint of trying to get cheaper flights for myself and my wife, because everywhere I go, she tends to follow.
Yeah.
Or rather, everywhere she goes, I tend to follow because she likes to travel a lot.
Yep.
But those flights get expensive to
Yep.
Europe or to South, to Asia. So there's no way I'm physically capable of carrying her there on my back,
Or
without
just you
stopping
fly.
multiple times in the ocean, which would probably lead to our death.
Right.
So teleporting is probably the way to go
But
for me.
I carry people when I teleport.
Okay.
There's no detriment to them or me?
So when you teleport, if you're touching somebody, they can come with you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's.
Do they get the shock too?
They get a big ass shock.
Great.
A big
That's
ass
fine.
shock.
She would
Yeah,
take
yeah.
that shock.
Sign me up. This you need. Give me some more cons of the teleporting.
So here's my question for you about the teleporting. This is my
Yeah.
big con for the
Uh-huh.
teleporting. Are we dealing with the concept of like moving molecules at all, or is this like a bend in space time? So
No,
that
you don't have to worry about consciousness. It's still you.
Okay.
It's still it's 100%. You still have all your memories. It's not a duplicate person. Blah blah blah.
It's not like the Philadelphia experiment. or
No,
something
no,
like
it's
that.
not. It's not the. It's not a thought experiment. It's actually you.
I might go flying.
How?
And here's why. Because I would love doing it.
Yeah.
It would be so
That's
much
right.
fun.
That's it.
And if
You
it's a
wouldn't. Do you
physical
love running?
exercise, I'd be jacked.
Yeah. But that's right. That's
No,
it.
I don't like running, and here's why. Because everyone else can do that.
Yeah.
It's so
That's
much.
not
it's
why
so
you don't
hard.
love running,
That's
Nick.
also really hard.
You'd get
But
in
if I
such
could
good shape.
fly,
Yeah.
and think of how famous you'd get
Think
if
of
you
how
could fly.
stupid you would look flying. Like, just think about that, Nick. Like, I haven't seen you run, but I can't imagine it's great.
Now, real
I run
quick,
like a daft gorilla.
He doesn't have to run. If I'm and correct me if I'm wrong, Jack.
Yep.
It'd be
physical exertion of
You
running.
it'd
can
be-
walk.
It'd be akin to walking. If I'm flying and I'm just casually flying, I'm casually walking.
You can
moving like
casually
Magneto.
fly for 40 minutes going 10 miles an hour over the city and you're not even damp.
Yeah. See,
You're damp. If you're one of us.
It's true.
Hey, I'm in shape.
Jack, we're very out of shape.
I don't know. I just don't like to me because like you can take the teleportation. Like I could put on a spacesuit, go to anywhere I want. I mean, like I don't like. To me, it's like that sounds cool to me. I can grab Greg, go to Mars for those 4 seconds, smile at him, let go, and then teleport away. And Greg's blood is boiling on the surface of Mars, and he's done.
That's right.
You know,
You
like
could
I
do
can.
that.
There's
Good.
clever
It is-
ways.
it is- it
there's
is
clever
a way to
ways
kill people.
There's clever ways to kill people with teleportation as well. I'm not saying
Yeah,
I would do
and
that.
hide
you
the
could
body,
just go to
too,
space,
which is a
you
big
could go
problem.
Anywhere in space,
Yeah.
leave them and be gone.
Right.
And just, you could actually go out there and create like names with dead bodies in space. If
Now
you
let me
wanted to.
let me get philosophical though, because this seems to me to be about if you're about the destination or the journey.
That's right.
This seems to be a more of a philosophical, existential,
There you
Thoreau
go.
type question.
That's the beauty
that
of
right?
this. That's the beauty of this
that's-
question.
So that to me, there's a deeper layer to this for sure.
Yeah,
right.
but one of the answers is teleportation, guys. So
the only reason I say no to teleportation, it's not because I'm trying to be deep in any way, shape, or form. Because why start now? Is just because I would probably quickly start to abuse that with no repercussions. I would start teleporting to the bathroom and back. I would probably have my muscles atrophy because I would stop using my legs.
Hang
'cause
on
I
a
would
second.
not
Every
use
time
that
you
stuff.
do that, every time you can only do it 30 times in a day,
Sure.
and every time you do it, it hurts like balls.
Yeah, but so does getting up. I'm 36. My back doesn't feel like it used to.
Okay, wait. Let's put a concrete example of the feeling on this.
Uh-oh.
It feels like what does it feel like? Okay,
Getting hit in the
there's
balls?
No lasting
You
consequence.
want to play that game and see if it feels like
No, I
that?
don't want to play that game. Let's play again a little. It feels like, okay. Imagine Imagine you stand like this.
Right.
Okay, you stand like this,
I don't like where
and
this is
somebody
going.
stands in front of you with their foot, and they.
Kick you right in the balls.
Right in the balls.
Every guy knows that feeling.
Okay, now unlike getting kicked in the balls,
You're actually kind of sweetening the pot for me on this one.
Oh, Jesus God.
it
Nick.
doesn't have.
I'm just saying, like, don't just because you don't like the sensation of a beautiful woman kicking you in the balls for payment doesn't mean that.
Where are
Other
the porn
people don't.
police? Who do I? What is the number I call?
Hey, you're
All right,
not
but
doing
let
it
him
right.
finish. So it's like
Sorry.
it's like this feeling with
It's,
but
it's that
all
bad.
over the
It's painful. It's really painful. But it doesn't. The only difference is unlike getting kicked in the balls, you don't get swelling and then it hurts for like 2 weeks. It's like it hurts and then it's done, and it doesn't have lasting physical damaging consequences to your body. It just hurts.
See, I feel like you're selling it again for Colin, because going back to his earlier example, he would take Greg, leave him on the planet, and Greg, you're sweetening the deal with him kick to the balls before that even happens. So you kick Greg in the balls, leave him on Mars, he dies, and you're laughing as he's like,
That's not how it works.
There's big pain for the person you take with you.
Yeah.
He said,
Oh, them too.
Yeah.
So that's even
'cause
funnier, because you're like, not only are you going to die, but I'm also kicking you in the balls.
Gotcha.
Because I can take Greg, we can both wear spacesuits.
Yeah.
We can teleport to Mars. I can, because we'll have to hear each other talk, right?
While you murder me?
and I could say like, I'm tired of hearing about Trending Gamer 2015, and I just twist like his arm piece and pull it off, and the vacuum goes in there, and then I teleport away. You know what I mean? So like at least there's like some talking, there's some conversation before I before everything goes down or whatever. But I don't think I would use it for bad things. I would use it for good things.
Well, see,
for
Colin-
instance, if Greg needed to go home to Illinois because there was some emergency or he wanted to go see his family or something like that, I'll just be like, all right, I'll take it. It's gonna hurt, and then I'll put my arm on him.
Sure.
And I feel like the parameters are too loose. Like to me, it's like teleportation like 10 times a year, and it hurts like you're getting shot. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like then I would think like, okay, like
Or
think
it does
about
the thing where it does the thing with because every time teleportation is done in the mainstream media, it has a severe consequence. Like it takes years off your life or something like that, right?
Well, read
That's
about
a little
or like your
crazy.
brain starts bleeding and there's always the blood
the
coming out
blood,
of your
yeah.
nose. And you're like,
People
what
should
did I
read it-
do? And the more you use that power, the worse it gets for you. Or
people
something
should read
like that.
about the Philadelphia experiment, the experiments that the United States military apparently did during World War II about teleporting ships from Norfolk to Philadelphia. It almost certainly didn't happen, but the stories around it are totally fucked up. Like they would like bend, apparently like they would bend like magnetic fields to like get ships from like Norfolk to Philadelphia instantaneously, but like the sailors on board would be like fused to the ship and like all sorts of weird shit would happen. They'd be insane. And so there's like really fascinating stories about it. Not that it necessarily happened. It's probably a myth, but
What interests
It reminds
me
me of that.
about your whole thing, Colin, the Mars thing, because obviously that's the first thing you do.
oh my God, I go to Mars
you
like
need a
instantly.
spacesuit.
Yeah.
Now,
I go
to
to
get the
NASA.
spacesuit, you teleport to
Yeah,
NASA,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
That's what I enjoy about this, is the idea of Colin planning a heist, a teleportation heist.
No, you're getting. It's way too complicated. I
don't
go to
just
NASA.
sell them at the gift shop.
No. I go to NASA and be like, I have the gift of teleportation. You don't have to worry about this billions and billions and tens and hundreds of billions of dollars it's going to take to send anyone anywhere. Where do you want me to go? Give me the materials I need, and then I'll go there and I'll get everything you need. Want me to go to Pluto and Charon and look at, and we can set a telescope up there to look at the Oort cloud and look at the Kuiper belt and all that kind of stuff. Like we
Yeah,
can get
because you
crazy.
can literally
with it.
just hold on to it and be like, okay, and then
And
that
I can
would get
hold
a little
hands
weird,
with
though,
all-
because
Yeah.
how would you know what point in space? Like, how would you orient yourself in space?
It's
Not
not
at all
even
hard.
that. He's getting that's such bullshit. This is just such bullshit for you. Because the guy would go, oh, great. And he'd pick up the phone and be like, yeah, I need a security detail, right? And he'd come in with trank darts and pop you
But
down.
what if I'd be like, I'll prove it.
And there's
Yeah, they're terrified of your power and ability to warp anywhere, and they take you down like an alien.
Spacesuit with
You're
your
the
name
guy.
embroidered.
You
And then we
won't
can
get
all-
fingerprinted to go to the TSA, but you're gonna go immediately to the government and be like, "Hey, everybody, I can go anywhere and do
true.
anything."
It's true.
Don't ask where my roommate went. He's just gone for some reason.
They can have great experts, like a great, some geologists and all this kind of stuff. We can all hold hands and go to these planets together, and then they can explore, and we don't have to. It's cost the thrust to get a ship off of, $10,000. What is it, like $10,000 a pound to get something into low Earth orbit?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
we
you could
can-
literally you could ferry cargo back and forth and build environments on all these planets. We could colonize like that. Be amazing.
I'm just saying, it's
pretty
like
cool.
this has great ramifications for the good of humanity.
Sure. After you murder the people you don't like by
Right,
dropping
exactly.
them
Well, I
somewhere.
like you a lot, actually. It's just I just feel like it would be a funny little gag we can do.
Just do it occasionally without him knowing. He never knows what's gonna come.
I
but
just wake up
occasionally-
like I'm in bed and I just hear him pop it. What a damn it, Colin.
I start going blooding over. That's terrifying.
But I do
feel
like the philosophy behind the question. 'Cause it gets way
Yeah.
deeper when you think about, are you about the destination or are you about the journey? Because a lot of people, we talk about that with movies we don't like or games we don't like. But man, that ending sucked, but it was fun doing it. It was fun playing it or fun watching and experiencing. Maybe the payoff wasn't what you wanted it to
Linkin
be.
Park made a song about this.
Oh.
Not that one.
One step closer.
Not that one either.
Paper cut.
Nope.
Don't stay.
Don't.
Too much
yeah.
pressure to take. I feel like the same can be said for teleportation though here though. Like it would be about the journey as well, because think of how few people get to actually travel the world and see other parts of the world. So imagine if you just teleported to France and then spent a week just walking around the streets of France, I think I might be changing my tune on the whole teleportation.
That's the thing. Is
You can
no,
see the world literally. You can visit every country, every place that would be cool.
Yeah,
guys
So
do.
cool.
yeah. No, you'd
amazing.
save
It's
so much
too much.
time. The worst part anywhere is going somewhere. It takes forever to get there. Because that's the thing. When I start,
I just thought of like the magic ramifications of it, but also flight. Like think of how cool you could be as a magician in Vegas if you could fly.
The magic
like,
ramifications.
All you have to do, every show could just be like this, just lights, 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 and then you levitate over the audience and like sit down and eat someone's popcorn, and they're like, Magnifico.
And they all run
Money,
out of
and
the
they
theater
just
because they're
throw-
horrified because you're a mutant.
next
Yeah.
door, you got a guy teleporting all around the room though. He's just disappearing.
taking people to box.
He's like, for my next trick, I'm gonna bring out Neil Armstrong. Pow, pow. Neil Armstrong's like, where the fuck am I? Pow, pow, bang. Dude, I am the greatest musician.
That's true. Fuck, you're right.
I need one
Teleporting.
volunteer with me to go to the Oval Office. Combine. The guy's like, I just went to the Oval Office.
I love that.
I felt like I got kicked in the balls.
Yeah, I know. I was doubled over in pain, but I was in the Oval Office.
That's true. Okay, you win. I think.
I mean, teleportation's the winner, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it
Because
is.
like,
I'm still in the flying camp. I'm still in the flying camp because here's the one reason to be to be in the air with the wind on your face, going over the city. Gosh, I dream about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but now think of this though. Now this is gonna hurt you a lot. You feel like you're getting kicked in the balls, but you just teleport from the air to the air and just keep doing it.
And then just fall. I know, but
Yeah,
you can
you
only
can-
do
then
30
I was
times.
gonna say
You
you
can do it like Mario
miscalculate, and
World
all of a
with the
sudden, on
cape.
the 30th line, you're just falling to your death.
flying squirrel suit.
Well,
Up and you glide. Up
See?
and you glide. Up
Fuck.
and you glide.
teleporting for sure.
You can glide.
Every
flying
time it's like
squirrel?
getting kicked in the balls, dude. You'd be so miserable. You'd
just
be go up in the air with your squirrel suit. You'd be flying down to earth going ah! like every single time.
It's true. Ball kicking is not a joke.
It's the worst. Are you guys serious? It's like ball kicking doesn't even matter to you.
Well, I mean, not when I can go to Mars, but here's the thing. See, the teleportation thing would be interesting in two different ways. If one, the pain got worse every time you used it,
Forever?
or forever.
I feel like
it
there's a
got worse
threshold.
and worse and worse. Or number two, there was a 0.1% chance it would kill you every time you used it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So like from the beginning, like the first time you use it, it can kill you. The 1,000th time you use it, it can kill you.
So
Wouldn't that
after
be
1,000
interesting?
teleports, you'd probably die.
Well, maybe you reach that point and you're just mathematically like you're inclined to not, you'll eventually reach it.
Start wearing
But
that.
yeah, but like then you get scared. Or like it's such an infinitesimal thing where like you use it and then you like every time you use it, you're like you go a few years and you're like it hasn't happened yet. Should I stop?
Yeah, man. See, that's
when it gets
interesting.
just
because-
Psychological turmoil.
But I feel
Yeah.
like there's things we do now that there is a percentage chance we'll die, but we do them anyways.
Shark jumping.
I don't like driving
Driving
with
in
Kevin.
Driving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
you will. You are likely to die when you get in your car.
So I wonder what the percentage chances on that.
It's true.
But
I say teleporting, and it breaks my heart because I think flying is a more pleasant experience. Have your cup of Joe and you're just up, and I'm assuming I'm susceptible to cold, right? So I have to bundle up.
Everything.
See, that's
Well,
all that
it's
sucks.
just like
you're
running.
exerting physical shit.
Tim,
Yeah, but
I'm
Tim-
walking. I walk every day.
Yeah, I walk
There's
hours a
nothing
day.
pleasant about that.
Yes,
Good for
there
your
is
heart.
wind in
No.
your hair.
No.
Yeah, but this time
I
you're up
enjoy
above. There's no one else
walking
there.
too, but it's not like-
this goes to my main thing. Every Comic-Con, I think about it when I'm stuck in this line and I'm all slammed up against people like this. I'm just like, man, it'd be fucking awesome to fly right now.
Yeah.
And not like go anything crazy, but just and go to wherever I need
And
to
just
go,
go,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Or you could just teleport to where you
No,
want
no,
to go.
no, and don't get me wrong. I'm saying I'm in the teleporting camp. I'm just saying that's when I think of flying. I think of flying as, I don't think of flying as the full-on sprint that we're talking about where you sweat, you're doing the whole thing like Mark Grayson in Invincible, of
No,
course.
it's like walking.
Yeah, exactly. I think about popping up and just doop, doop, doop.
Oh god, you bring your camera up there. You don't need to buy a Phantom 4. You're just fucking.
Yeah, no, I don't need any drones.
No
Get down
drones.
out of there. Yeah.
Also, you can hum the theme from the mid '90s X-Men and pretend like you're Magneto. Everybody's just like this. Yeah. Fucking slash that comes into shreds.
For me, it literally just comes down to the pleasure of flying. The fantasy of being able to fly.
Sure.
Is a fantasy I've had my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing with flying is I think that it's also too hard to get away. Because I do think the government's coming after us regardless of the power we pick.
Yeah, that's right.
And so flying, then I'm going to get winded.
Yeah.
And then just down to earth. And they're like,
Greg
they're
just, like,
they're just
flapping,
waiting
trying
there
to
with
get
big
away.
nets. They're like, we knew you get winded, fatty. Gah, gotcha.
A couple billy clubs and they just hit you a couple times.
Then Colin pops in, grabs you, pops out.
You're on
I
the
like
rise
your
your time.
pause.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's very visual.
Yeah.
People popping into the Oval Office.
The old pop and lock.
Yeah. You know what would be cool to do too? And this is, you can only do this in the very beginning, all right? You buy how they have terrible Halloween costumes that are like silver spandex or whatever, in a big coat and crazy sunglasses, and then you just stick with me. You pop, you pop in and you pop into where some lady's getting an ultrasound, and you're like, I'm your child from the future. And then you paw away, and they're like, what happened?
Holy shit, you're a crazy
You know what I
person.
mean?
No. Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, what fun ways to fuck with people with your paw power?
Oh man, I like you,
Pa,
Greg.
pa, pa.
You fucked up.
Thank you. I try. Now, all right. This episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate is a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear. For less than $20 a month, you get 4 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the offer code kindafunny to save $3 on any new subscription. Loot Crate is more than just a subscription service. It's an entire community of fans that share their experience and interact with each other around the unboxing of each month's crate. And they guarantee more than $40 in value in every crate. Sometimes it's a lot more. Every month, there's a different theme. The themes aren't a real thing. Theme. And all the items are curated around that theme. Previous crates have included items from franchises like Star Wars, Marvel, The Walking Dead, The Legend of Zelda, and many more. Spring is springing, so grab a map, your bag of holding, and some friends, April's theme is quest. What threw me is bag of holding. Not one that I'm familiar with, because it sounds like a drug reference. We're forming a party to explore everywhere, from far-off kingdoms to worlds hidden within worlds, with exclusive items from Labyrinth, Harry Potter, History Channel's Vikings, and Uncharted 4. And of course, we've got our t-shirt and loot pin to help equip for your adventures. Remember, you only have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, Jack, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the offer code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today. Tim,
Yeah.
what's your topic?
So my topic it's a weird one that would be a lot more fascinating if I actually had any science or anything to back it up.
Awesome.
But it's me, so I don't.
Yes.
If I was Colin, I would start this topic off by saying, so I read an article.
Sure.
But instead, I'm going to start this off by saying, my girlfriend talked to me about a documentary based on a book that she watched. And I'm going to present some things to you.
Okay.
It's called Freakonomics. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
We've heard of it.
or seen it or watched it or anything. And it's kind of like a look at how random things relate to other things, right? And there was one thing she was telling me about. There's like sumo wrestlers, and they did a study on the win to lose rates, and like they ended up finding out like some crazy underground black market of sumo wrestling bets going on that actually affected the win to loss ratio or whatever. She was then talking to me about the Zika virus, which is this thing. You might have heard about it. It's a big deal. Fucking up places like Brazil, right? There's mosquitoes transmitting diseases, and they're like, this affects babies. Do not have babies. If you're having a baby, do not come to Brazil. This made me start thinking in my fucked up head. I'm like, all right, how would that affect us? Because this is a really fascinating kind of concept, right? Of just like things affecting other things, even though it's like hard to prove they're related, but there's just cause and effects, right?
The butterfly effect.
Yes. So I was like,
Stress and effect.
if this Zika virus thing is as intense as it sounds, and people aren't allowed to have babies, and if the CDC or whatever were to come out and be like, you cannot have a baby this year, like you just can't do it, and if you do, you have to leave. You can't be here.
During the presentation, I'd pow right in, and I'd have these wings on my back, and I'd be in the silver suit. I'm like, I'm from the future, and he's serious. Pow,
So
You know what, Greg? You can't have this power. You're clearly not mature enough to deal with the power of teleportation.
I'd just be America's house guest. They'd be like, oh, it's just Greg. Don't worry about him.
So you're not allowed to have babies, right? that's like, all right, fine. If that were to happen.
Sure.
My thoughts are, what effects would that have on the future? Like, would it really be that big of a deal? And I was like, I don't know, how would it affect? And I was like, there's going to be a year where there's no third graders.
Sure.
That sounds stupid, but that can kind of fuck things up. You know,
It's interesting to think about.
there's the second graders and there's the fourth graders, but there's no third graders, which also means there's no third grade.
But what if
teachers.
someone skipped a grade? Because
There'd be one third grader.
I gotta go
That'd be an awesome education.
I think we can all agree there would probably be way fewer third graders.
That's
true.
Yeah, you're talking about the future. I'm more, and Colin, before you go, answer me this, and then come back and talk about it. I'd be more interested in the immediate effect. Because they're saying, the CDC saying, they're not urging you. You're saying they're saying don't
There's
have
no
kids.
babies. Like, you're not allowed to have babies.
one child thing in China or whatever.
So, what, I mean, the government did that. Could they do that here? Exactly. Okay, just making sure.
It's Brazil. I don't know what Brazil's
Oh, I know. Oh,
constitution is.
no. I'm not saying like this doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying I'm using this as America. 'cause
Let's
we're in
pretend it's America. Let's say that like
Fucking Obama says we
the
have to
thing
do
is,
it.
I mean, it's if you do this, the baby will die. Like that's
Okay,
the thing.
Okay, I was gonna say because there's no way that our entire country would agree to stop having
we don't
kids.
agree on anything.
We don't have enough education and enough information and enough actual birth control for that to actually ever be the case in a 318 million population. It just wouldn't happen. People just would disregard it,
Fuck
or they
that.
would fuck up, or there's
Bang.
mistakes that happen, and it's just what happens. I don't know. It would be interesting, but I don't think like there are parts of Europe and there are parts of that you hear about that people just aren't having kids and the economy is dying. So there probably would be a little bit of an impact to the economy, but not much because it's just 1 year, right? So it's not like you're missing
what's
out on an
interesting to
entire
me is
generation of people.
That year keeps moving. So it keeps having different effects, right? Because you don't have third graders 1 year, but then there'll be a year where there's no sophomores in high school. You know, like
Yeah.
and how's that different? And like then that affects like, all right, there's nobody on the JV varsity, or I don't know how sports works. There's no
JV
people
team.
on one of the teams,
They would make
right?
it on the freshman team, yeah, the freshman team.
But then eventually
There's
it's
no
like
kids on the Weewaskok Chuck or whatever the hockey.
The squints? The
Yeah,
squirts?
the squirts.
the squirts, yeah.
Colin's hockey team.
It hits a point where it's like, all right, then it affects like the NFL. Because there's a whole year of people that aren't there, and I guess eventually it balances out.
that's the thing is that when you start getting into professional sports, it wouldn't affect it that much because most of those people, like
Range.
they like I think what is it? Oh, we need Colin for this, but basketball, I think you have to at least get to your junior year before you can be drafted. Football, I think you can go straight out of high school, so it wouldn't matter necessarily.
I think it's
beyond
actually
that
the
point.
inverse of
It's
that.
the opposite.
Yeah, because LeBron went right from high school, but I think they've changed that. Football, I think it is you have to play at least. No, I don't know. We need Colin. You're right.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
that's a
You don't know
question.
sports, right?
I do not know sports.
Nerds unite. Yeah.
We're good. But I thought that
I honestly think it would probably have better repercussions than more negative repercussions.
what?
Well, we don't have an overpopulation problem in this country though, but in other countries that
We're
did,
about
it would probably help because it would decrease the amount of aid that was coming from the government and probably stoke the economy a little bit. I heard another fascinating stat that like in places if you look at areas that have better education and easier access to birth control for women, specifically for women, those areas tend to be economically more what?
I love the chat because everyone
What do they
acts
say?
like they're an expert and everyone is saying something different.
Okay.
Bluth Bananas. It's one and done now for basketball. Basketball is 19, says Red Animator. Buff Arms. NFL is junior year. DZ says 2 years of football. Loyalty. 1 year of basketball. 3 years of football. Football is 2 years. Basketball. It's this thing that keeps changing around. Base mentality. It's one for both guys.
internet.
We got to get Colin to do the final word on that.
Internet.
I'm going off on a tangent. That's kind of a different subject. So, but yeah, I don't know. It would be fascinating. That'd be really weird.
I don't think it'd be that big of a deal.
I don't think it would either.
I don't. There's different people entering children at different ages too for grades. You know, I mean, there's cutoffs and whatever, but we fudge the cutoffs a bit to make it where grades 3 and 4 are smaller classes because technically they moved it around where all these kids should be fourth graders and they're not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As far as education is concerned, like I think it would have probably a better impact because how many times do you talk to a teacher who's like, I have too many students in my class? Like, right? As far as not private schools, but for public schools, it would probably have an actual positive impact because you'd have less kids per classroom and the kids that were there would probably get a little bit better attention.
Also, parents are having too many kids.
They are.
Come on.
I can tell that.
Knock it
Every time
off.
I go
We
to
don't need
Starbucks,
any
there's
more
too many
people.
goddamn strollers in there.
Oh,
I hate
God.
it. I hate the strollers.
There'll be a year where you're good.
No, they wouldn't because there would still be people with fucking strollers.
Yeah.
Colin,
Yes.
what is it now for basketball for going to the NFL and going to the NBA? What's the rule for college now?
I think NFL, don't you have to be like 21 or 22 to enter the draft?
that what it is?
NBA, you don't have to go to college at all.
Okay. I thought they
LeBron
changed that.
LeBron
Now. Yeah,
came out.
I know LeBron changed, but I thought they recently changed NBA.
But I didn't hear that, but maybe.
Okay. Chat can't come to a consensus. So
Yeah.
we're
the
lost.
word is out. But I mean, okay, so what other weird things could this cause? Because I've just been thinking about it. I mean, I just think the sports is where I went and the schools, but I feel like it'd have other weird
I mean, I only think it'd be
ramifications.
good things. I think everybody should fucking chill for a second on all these goddamn kids. I don't want any of them. And maybe other people would if they take a second to stop being all pre-programmed for their nuclear families and whatnot. They chill out, wake up on a Sunday, they go to brunch, and they're like, you know what, honey? This is pretty good. I'm glad that the West Nile virus is back. I'm just saying. Maybe it had some good points in this scenario.
Well, I mean, well, it's like when you have a pandemic, like the Black Death, like wiped out a third or something of the population of Europe, or whatever. Like these kinds of corrections are going to happen again. It's not. It's like it's inevitable. So like doesn't sound like that kind of thing. But when you look at like exponential population growth globally, like we just cannot. The projections that show us at 20 or 25 or 30 million or billion people on the planet, it's like that's not possible. That's just not possible. We could build up and all those kinds of things, but where does the food come from? Where does the water come from? The resources. If we start knocking down trees and ruining the ability for oxygen to be made, also with plankton and all that kind of stuff, polluting of the seas and all these kinds of things, it's like there is going to come a point where we are going to have population controls. I don't think that's going to happen in the next generation or two, but eventually countries and global authorities like the UN are going to have to kind of come to terms with the fact that like we cannot have 25 billion people on the planet. Like how? There's space, but are there resources?
Yeah, even if you tried, right, there would be deficiencies in medicine and food, and lots of people would die.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
you could try to get to 25 billion, but like literally you couldn't get there. And it would be a lot of suffering and pain on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've always said, and it's not like it's a unique thought, but like humanity has outsmarted evolution. Like there are things about us like that would kill us. You know, certain people, like I have like really bad stomach problems and I take like medicine for it and I've had like, things done for it, but like that might take me out and that might take my genes out of the pool as well to make the human race healthier in the future. But since we've outsmarted evolution or whatever, like we can all survive, like population growth is just going to continue to exponentially grow over and over and over again. And it's a scary kind of prospect to think about the planet in a couple hundred years, because it's not going to take that long. We've jumped 5 to 6 to 7 billion like very quickly, and imagine everyone having 1, 2, 3, 4 children. It gets pretty out of control pretty quick. So it's a very interesting kind of moral question, but it gets into like bioethics and all those kinds of things where it's like, well, we have to do our best to save to let people live their lives, have their children, provide them the best care and the best medicine as well. But what does that also mean for the future of our children's children? It's a super philosophical question, I think.
And what if the moon disappeared?
Nope. I don't want going down that one again.
Bad.
Show me the
news.
chat, because I want to see what they probably. I bet you some people are saying some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, see,
I want to see.
I don't know if you guys touched on the idea of the generational gap. So I don't think
They're
one
still
year would
arguing
matter.
about football.
Yeah.
Actually, it's years out of high school, not college. You can redshirt 1 year in football.
Let's
There
hope
you go.
SpaceX can get us to Mars.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Private corporations will get us there.
Deion Troy J until the sun blows up.
That's not going to happen for
5 billion
Billions.
years.
yeah 5,
Yeah.
6, 7 billion years.
Yeah.
No, the interesting thing would be more like what happened if that happened for an entire generation or two. That, I
Yeah,
think,
that's
would
a more
that would be
fascinating
way
question,
more, like,
for sure.
not more fascinating, but I think that would be more hazardous to the economy, because then you'd actually have you'd miss out on that whole like generation as it moved through into the workforce, into the people that have to do the minimum wage jobs, then to that middle management position, and then to the people who are supposed to be leading the companies. Like it'd be crazy. Although that'd be, I guess Medicare would be a little bit less taxed on that one, but if it's even going to be around by the time the generation hits. But anyway, I don't know.
Well, think about like we have 320 million or so people in the United States, and we have a surplus of food. Like we're still a significant breadbasket for the rest of the world. So imagine, but like China has 1.2 billion people and does have to import some food, although they can feed themselves. But then a country like North Korea, 18, 20 billion people, is super impoverished, imports almost all of its food because it can't feed its people. Its people are eating like bark off of trees and shit like that. Now imagine if you have like, you just grow all these countries and just multiply them by 2, and then like what happens to the surplus of food, and what happens to like the surplus of fresh and clean water, and how does like, do you have to have desalinization plants up and down the Pacific Ocean in the United States in order to give water to the growing population of the United States, which is now 500 million people or 600 million people, and how does that then affect the ocean when you're dumping hyper salted water back in and all of the pollution back in from desalinating? Then like how does that affect the plankton and its ability to create oxygen? And then like all of these kinds of things, like it's a butterfly effect, like you were saying. It's not something that's necessarily going to happen. I'm certainly not an authority on it, but it's like super complicated when like we've gotten so smart that we can't help ourselves now. Like we've gone beyond, and this gets into all sorts of other shit like we're talking about with Ray Kurzweil and the singularity and all that kind of stuff too. So
it reminds me a little bit of the housing market crashing, actually.
Sure.
Like it's this system of so many interconnected parts, and then there's the local people actually selling the loans who are getting bonuses and then there's the banks who are repackaging subprime loans into other packages, and all of those systems, when you combine them all and then you looked at all the incentives, it led to this thing where we were just waiting for disaster and no one saw it. And then disaster hits. When you have like a system that has that many moving parts and is so complex and there's so many potential points of failure, if one fails, that can trigger multiple failures in other parts of the system. You can have like these catastrophic things, like when millions of people lost their jobs, and that was a tough zone. It reminds me a lot of that sort of question. Is like, wow, here's this complex system. One thing can go wrong, leading to just like catastrophic systemic failure.
It happens. I mean, what was it? 1815 year without a summer, when a huge volcano erupted around Indonesia, and the entire global climate went down like 3 or 4 degrees, causing like crop failures across the world, people dying of starvation. John Adams and all these guys, not so much founders, because it was a little bit after the War of 1812, but people contemporaneous to that were writing about like it was snowing in Massachusetts in June and all this kind of stuff, like ruining crops, like just because a volcano on the other side of the world erupted. And then, you could fast forward that to today, like when it was like mutually assured destruction and all this kind of stuff. And people were like, well, what the effects of radiation and stuff? It's like, if you detonate 20 or 30 bombs, you're gonna have nuclear winter. It doesn't matter like what the effects of the radiation is locally. You're not gonna have any sunlight. So it's like there's all these unintended consequences of like what happens and these minute and weird things. And now we're seeing it with global warming, which I think is mostly man-made. I don't think it's all man-made, but it's certainly made way worse by man's activities, and how that kind of just 1 degree, 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit can melt ice caps and raise water levels to the point where like New Orleans is like going to be uninhabitable in 50 years. And the fact that like anyone even tries to make that a place anymore is like unbelievable. So it's amazing how in that instance, like how the Industrial Revolution, post-Civil War, around that kind of time, created this thirst for pollutive kind of industries that 150 years later are causing the coastlines to erode away and flooding to happen and terrible storms to occur. I mean, look what, we can rattle off a bunch of hurricanes and a bunch of superstorms that, were unheard of 100 years ago because of unintended consequences. So it's just fascinating to think about these kinds of things. They go way deeper, I think, than even like the government saying, well, no one have kids for a year. It's like, yeah, that's possible and that could happen, but it's like, it's even more, a minor domino falling somewhere around the world is probably going to be our undoing, not that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting to think about, I guess. And dire. And
thanks
fun.
for the uplifting topic, Tim.
No more third graders.
That was brought to you by Squarespace. You can start your free trial today at squarespace.com. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure you use the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Nick,
Yes.
you built the first KINDOFFUNNY.com with Squarespace.
I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. It's very easy to use tool set, very intuitive, very easy to use if you want to have a portfolio site or a small site for your business. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Thank you. Building a website can be tough. And even if you know your way around coding, creating something that looks good and works well is a time-consuming affair. Whether it's for a business site, a portfolio, like you just said, Nick. You said that.
Yeah.
A restaurant or whatever else.
I was gonna say I want to transition my personal site over there, but I'm just too lazy to do it. But
It's
I can
easy.
do it very, very.
You could use this code too.
The
Kind of funny.
The
at
Squarespace
checkout.
end is easy. It's transferring the URL over from my other piece of shit domain server.
Oh wow, okay.
And getting
Well,
it over there, it's a whole big deal. Anyway, start your journey on Squarespace. Do yourself a huge favor.
Not only does Squarespace provide you with intuitive and easy to use tools to create your website with Squarespace also has state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. And you can trust in Squarespace for your website needs when millions of people and some of the most respected brands in the world trust them too. You can't beat the ease and simplicity of Squarespace. Squarespace gives you 24/7 online support and a beautiful website. So what are you waiting for? Just like in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Start a free trial with no credit card required and start building your website today. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure you use the offer code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for us. Kinda funny. One word is the promo thing. One word is the promo code. Kinda funny. Squarespace.
Build it.
No!
Beautiful.
Finuti.
Finuti? What is? I don't know. Where is that one? Is that Finnish? Is that you're saying Finnish?
It might be Finnish in Italian, or I may have just made it up.
Finito.
Finito, that's what I want. Not
Finuti.
Finuti.
Italian for Finnish.
It's Swedish. It's northern Swedish.
Oh, it's one of the words we learned today.
Northern Sweet. Right.
Yeah.
Northern
That's,
Sweet.
This next
Nordic.
topic's really going to uplift. I can feel it.
Final topic comes from patreon.com/kindafunny, where Tom Cupers went over, backed us there, and got to put his topic into the hopper, and today it's getting pulled, and it is uplifting, so everybody strap in. My topic is failed dreams.
Oh, Lord.
Things you guys wanted to do but gave up on, or things you guys thought you wanted to do but turned out to be awful. I went to college to be a journalist, but quickly found out that the process of editing and writing is like nails on a chalkboard to me. You guys are obviously living some of your dreams, but I'm curious about the places you all thought you were going to end up. Thanks for everything, Tom.
I have a question.
Lay it
Right off
on,
the bat.
Tom.
You went, no offense, but you went to school for journalism and found that you didn't like to write? How did you land on journalism if you didn't have a passion for writing? Because
Maybe
even
it
if you're doing
seemed
video
cool.
or photo journalism or something, that's different, I guess. But
Sure.
but you're still writing something when you're doing.
Not
that just seemed like an
everybody-
interesting kind of.
Not everybody sits on, goes and writes for the school paper or goes and gets a column or does these kind of things. Maybe he just thought that looks cool. That'll be cool. I'll do that. I want to
Yeah,
tell people
there was a
stories.
lot of people in my major that called themselves journalists, and they were just people on camera. You know?
Yeah.
They didn't write shit.
It's just a question.
It's one of those. It's funny. He's talking about failed dreams and things you gave up or turned out to be awful. And it's like, I think it seems like a pretty good thing that he went to college. He took that dream. That's what we always talk about. Kind of funny, right? We left, and if it was going to fail, it fails. Big deal. We would have known it. We did it. We took the shot. We wouldn't always sit there and do it. He took the shot. He thought he wanted to be a journalist. Got there. Was like, oh, this sucks, and bounced. It doesn't sound like it ruined his life. Not that that's the question.
And I'm not saying that at all, but what I'm
no, no.
asking is like there's fundamental parts of journalism. Like I could understand being like, I don't like the grind. I don't like talking to people.
Yeah.
I don't like investigating. It's like, okay, I get all of that kind of stuff, but like there just seems to be fundamental things. So that's why I was just asking kind of a
I was
a
changing the
question.
topic, but yes, I understand.
I'm hung up on it.
Have you guys
Okay.
heard of this this word autotelic?
No.
Have you heard of this? So a Patreon creator made a video the other day that was amazing and talked about Van Gogh and how painting for him was autotelic. And autotelic means, let's see if I can remember the definition. When a person does something, not for desired consequence of doing things, but for the joy in doing the thing itself. That is an autotelic experience. So Van Gogh was painting by himself. He lost his teeth and was dying and was unhealthy, and so had to move in with his parents. He wasn't making any money. The only people that saw his work, it was one person, his brother, saw his work, and his brother didn't like his paintings and thought all those painters were better and your paintings aren't very good, but he would send his brother paintings when he finished them. And Van Gogh lived this life making paintings for 10 fucking years by himself because painting for him was autotelic.
So he's a flyer, not a teleporter.
Yes.
Unless he
Although-
likes traveling.
If he were alive today, if he were somehow able to teleport himself into the future, he'd probably be a teleporter because he'd be fucking multimillionaire. He could just paint shit
Right.
and sell those paintings for millions of dollars.
That's right.
All right, we might need to define teleporting.
Go through time. If you're allowed to just randomly
Time
teleport
traveling,
into
it's
the
the
Oval
same
Office.
thing.
Well, that does bring up interesting things though, because the only way that you can travel forward in time, you can't travel back in time,
Right.
But you travel forward in time by going near the speed of light. So if you are instantaneously ending up somewhere and then come back, then there could be time problems.
Well, yeah, maybe.
But nonetheless,
Unless you're
let's not
flying
go
really
back to this
fast.
stuff.
Unless you figured out how to run really, really fucking like the speed of light and you can fly that way. I get what you're saying on the journalism front because I did that with motorcycle riding. That was my not failed dream, but I over romanticized the idea when I first moved into the city of what it would be like to ride a motorcycle. I was like, you can park anywhere, you look cool, it's super fun. Like, how much fun is it to just jump on this machine that's, you know, seemingly very light and easy to maneuver? I'm going to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And so I did the right thing, thankfully, which is instead of just doing what a lot of my friends did, which they just bought a motorcycle and then kind of figured it out as they went, I went into the safety course. It's a 2-day safety course. If you're ever going to get into motorcycle riding, please do the course first. You can easily find one near you. And about halfway through the first day, I'm like, I don't know if I like this, but I'm not a quitter. And I was enjoying it enough. The mechanics were challenging enough to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to push through this and get to it. Got my license, started riding a little bit, and I was flirting with the idea of getting a motorcycle. And about maybe on my third or fourth ride, I'm like, I just don't like this experience. I don't like the experience of being on the highway, not safely, you know, faux safely wrapped in a car. Feeling
safely wrapped.
Well,
you're safer.
Well, you're way safer than you are on a motorcycle, but don't kid yourself. You can, you know, it's still dangerous hurling yourself down the highway at 65 miles an hour in a metal tube. But yeah, it's a little crazy. Like a lot of people equate riding a motorcycle with freedom, and I equated it to not terror, but a little sense of dread eventually, where I was like, I don't know that I like this. And then eventually I put a motorcycle down on the ground and I was like, I'm done.
Usually the idea of something is very different than the execution of something.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the times people fall in love with the idea of being like blank. What is it? They imagine what it might feel like to be a traveling DJ or a successful rock band. And the idea of it feels really exciting. And then when you execute that shit, you're like, oh my God, this is hard. Yeah. Like, this is a grind. Like, I'm sure, like, this is really fun for you guys. This is a fuckload of gear, though. Like, there's cameras and cases and, like, screens and, like, this is a grind to haul this shit around and make it work. And
even being on, like, we have to be on all day today, right? Like, that's a skill. And you see it all the time in our thing where people are like, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and they put up a week's worth of content and they stop.
And they stop.
Right.
So, what keeps you guys going? Why do you keep doing this?
I mean, I think so. That's a great segue for me. Is I don't feel like I've had that experience. I don't think that I've had a dream that I haven't hit because I keep doing. I think I keep setting my goals kind of fairly attainable. But then the moment I get them, I always have the next thing to keep going towards, and that's what keeps me going. Is the fact that I haven't hit that wall yet. I will one day, eventually, but I hope I'm dead before that happens. You know, grinding out, trying to do all this shit. But yeah, it is. It's definitely the day-to-day shit of like, yeah, it's hard. I am tired right now. I am so tired. And I'm just looking down at the next couple months at all the stuff we have to do. And it's like, it's fun to vent about it and bitch about it. But it's what wakes me up and keeps me up at night in a good way, not in a bad way of like, I'm stoked about this. I want this to happen. And it's like, I want to finish this thing so I can do that thing. And it's like, well, I'm not even enjoying the thing I'm doing now because I'm thinking about that thing. But it's like, it's a weird cycle of when's the fun part come? Oh, this is all the fun part.
Let me ask you, when the fans and the folks watching in the chat room right now, when they think, what is it like to be kind of funny? What do you think they think?
They think that we play video games all day. That I guarantee that's the
I think
answer.
they think we talk all day. We don't put up enough content of us playing games all day for them to think that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what side. If it's the fan or the hater. But the haters think we play video games all day. The fans think we talk all day, which is accurate. I don't know. There's a lot of talking, but there's a lot of not talking too.
Yeah.
Which is weird. There's a lot of us thinking.
There's a lot of thinking.
You know?
There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of preparation. Yeah, there's a lot of work in terms of flipping the room and da-da-da-da. And I think you see it when it surfaces when something doesn't work. And everybody's like, Kevin, you had one job. And it's like, Kevin's got 85 jobs. We all have 93 jobs to do on a daily basis. So like, yeah, when the one thing breaks that you think's his job and you make a big deal about it, and whether it's Kevin or it's me saying, you know what I mean, like, fuck you. You know what I mean? That's the answer.
I know what you mean, though, because you just said it when you were saying, you know what I mean.
That was what I was saying, though.
Ladies and gentlemen in the chat right now, go to
Tim, you don't give us enough credit.
Tuesday.
We know you guys bust your asses.
No, everyone, we're not, this isn't us knocking you. We know you know.
And that shit pisses, that shit does piss me off
all the time.
For Greg's like verbal tics, for instance, like that shit annoys me to see that because I'm like, I'm protective of Greg where I'm like, I'll make fun of Greg all I want. but you better not fucking make fun of Greg at all, you know, because like that's my brother, that's my one of my best friends, a very important person to me, and I often say to people, it's like, if we recorded you for 15 hours a week, I'll pick apart what you're saying, you know, and it's not easy. That's the thing I've learned from this is that it's just being on isn't easy, and it's really difficult to be on every day, especially for Colin and Greg Live. Like Greg and I will literally have to do something every day for a live audience. Nonetheless, our podcast and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, it's a difficult thing. That's what I've appreciated most about this is that when we were at IGN and I was a writer and I was senior editor and I can just disappear and go on trips and research and write, that was way easier than having to be a personality that has to be on and be kind of micro studied under a microscope when I'm not in a good mood or something like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that like really breaks me down sometimes. So that's what I've appreciated about it. But like what keeps me going is that I like literally have to have moments of clarity sometimes when I get in like my ruts, which is like constantly, where I'm like why are you so upset about something? Like this is good, you're fine, this is a blessing. But at the same time, I have no shame in saying that like I'm not done yet. Like I have dreams that I haven't attained that are really important to me that I want to attain as well. I use the analogy of like taking a ball and someone's like, you know, I'm gonna throw the ball in this direction and you're gonna chase it, and that's your dream or whatever. And since I was 6 or 7, I knew I wanted to be an historian, and like I was obsessed with history and the military and war and politics and all this kind of stuff. And I went to school for history, and I got that, and I was about to go to grad school, and I got my job at IGN, and I came here instead, and it's like someone took the ball and was like, nah, fuck that, I'm throwing it in this direction instead, and I chased it, but I've always been looking in that direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what could have happened, and it doesn't mean I don't want to go in this direction. It just means I'm super curious about what's over there too. And by the way, I'm curious about like what's in that direction and that direction too. I want to be a writer, and I want to, you know, I don't play music anymore, even though I grew up as a musician and love music and stuff like that. Like, so so my failed dreams are many, because like to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in the gaming industry, I had to abandon all that other stuff. And so all those dreams did fail, but it doesn't mean I'm not curious about it. It doesn't mean that I'm dead set on at least achieving 1 or 2 more of those goals. It does not mean that I don't want to do this too, and that I will not always do this with you guys, because I will. It's a matter of like, I want to write a book, and I want to play music again, and being a drummer, it's like really hard to play music in a city, and you got to figure out those kinds of solutions. Or I miss playing hockey, and I miss doing all these kinds of things. So my failed dreams are many, and I miss history, and I miss being able to do those kinds of things. It's on my arms. It's like it's a different kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that just because I had a failed dream doesn't mean that I didn't accomplish a dream that was just as important.
See, I wouldn't say that you don't. I wouldn't categorize those necessarily as failed dreams. I would categorize those as something that you still can do. Like I feel when someone's failed at something, that means they've given up. Like, because that really is all failure is.
That's
right?
all it
you
is.
just say, I choose not to pursue this anymore because it beat me. So like one of my I wouldn't even call it a failed dreams, is that I want to make a movie one day, and I will make a movie one day. It may not be next year, it may not be 20 years from now, but it will happen. I will make that happen for myself. The only good thing for me is that I can use this as a springboard to do that. Right, I get to maybe one day hopefully do that with you guys, and that would be really, really fun. But that's still, to use your analogy, I mean, that's someone throwing the ball in the exact same straight line that I'm on right now. It's just way the fuck down there.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it is. I don't know how long it's going to take me to run over and get it, but I'm going to get it.
The other way to think about that, and this is a quote that I heard recently that just like, hit me so hard, feels so right, especially like for where I am in my life right now. Somebody said like, once there's more things to do than there are hours in a day, it's not about managing your time anymore. It's not about time management. It's about priority management. Mm-hmm. And so for you, it's not that it's like that hockey and music are like failed dreams. It's just like, this is the fucking priority, because this is where the impact is. Mm-hmm. Like, this is where you guys have voices and are growing and like are challenged, and you're building something, and like, this is the priority right now. And what's beautiful about that statement about time management and priority management is like, once you realize that you'll never be done, like you'll just never be done. You will always want to do more things. Mm-hmm. Once you realize that it's not about doing all of the things, it's about doing the things that matter. And then these things you may or may not get to, but you fucking did the things that mattered.
You just blew my mind. That sums up my life so well. of just it's not time management. And like, I knew that, but I didn't know that until you just said it. And it's like, that makes so much sense. It is just priorities. It is just, you know, you're never going to do all of it, but it is about figuring out what the things that you have to do now are.
And you will go home tonight and there will be 10 things that you didn't do today that would have been cool. They just wouldn't have been as fucking cool as this.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like every day you might make the wrong choice, but then you have tomorrow to do those things and fix that and just course correct. And I think that's kind of funny. We end up talking about ourselves a lot, but that's because that's our lives, right? Like it is literally our life to talk about our lives, which is really fucking cool. And thanks to Patreon, that is all possible. But it's crazy that it's all systems that work together. Going back to the topic we were talking about earlier about like if one thing fucks up, it fucks up everything. It is about thinking about, all right, if we introduce T-shirt Tuesday as a concept, that means that every first Tuesday of every month, we need to have a T-shirt designed that will go on sale. If we do that, that means we need to promote it. If we promote it, that means it takes a slot on this show. If we have that on that show, that means we can't promote this other thing we're trying to do. And it's like, you need to start thinking about all of this. And it's like, there's so many cool things we can do. There's so many cool shows we can make. What makes the most sense? Like what works together? What works as a thing, you know? And how do we make all of it happen? Because it's not even about time at that point. It's just about like, what is our maximum potential for things making sense? Because there's a breaking point of there's time in the day to do it, but does it make sense?
Yeah, I feel like if you look at wildly successful people, they've done just that, right? Almost prioritization on a like epic scale, or like, and well, epic may not be the right word. Maybe
we call
like
it ruthless,
psychotic and ruthless scale.
Ruthless prioritization.
Yeah, but like you look at a guy like Steve Jobs, and he prioritized the formation of his the progression of his company and the progression of the products they make above all else, and it attained him greatness. And I would truly say that he is a great man. I don't think anyone would deny that. But he was also wildly touted as kind of tyrannical and not such a great guy to be around, and probably not the best father.
Denied the existence of his own daughter.
Yeah,
but named the computer after.
Right, but at the same time, you know, I don't know if history's going to remember that so much as they remember he's the guy that revolutionized the way we interact with each other, which is pretty crazy to think. But I think there's a happy medium somewhere in there. I don't think you have to go. I think you can have a lot, but you're right. Prioritization is a really huge factor of both success and both of happiness as well. Because there's one thing to be said, like it's depressing when you think, I want to do all these things, but you can't do any of them because you don't have time, so it's crippling, right? But being able to aptly prioritize 3 of those things, maybe today, I'm going to go to the gym today. Maybe not tomorrow, but today I'm going to go to the gym. Yep. That made me happy. That's good. I'm good for a couple days, you know? I feel better. Even though I'm probably not doing anything really, because I just go to the gym and hop on the elliptical machine and listen to a podcast and then leave. But it doesn't matter.
You can do that at the Kind of Funny gym.
Oh, I can do that at the Kind of Funny gym. We have a gym in our office. It's called an elliptical machine. We also have a full kitchen. It's called the kitchen.
Whoa.
We work out of our house.
You guys are fancy.
Yeah, I think that it's the one thing I kind of look at as a blessing was when I was going to start grad school in the fall and I got my job offer from IGN in the spring when I graduated from Northeastern. I was too young and stupid to second guess any move I was making. So I was like, of course I'm gonna leave and go to California. Like I can go back to this later. Fuck this, you know. And I have no regrets about that at all. But I'm glad that I was in that 22-year-old kind of ignorant place in my life, which I think every 22-year-old, whether they're aware of it or not, is in that place when they're 22 years old, of being like, well, what is the repercussions of this? Are you gonna have any regrets at all? Like I didn't even think about it. I just was
because
like,
you have all the time in the world when you're 22.
Right, and now
I have so much time.
And now I'm 31, and I look back and I'm like, well, I still have no regrets. I was talking about this with someone recently. I'm like, I feel like I've been cursed in a way because, like, I really do have these interests that are just don't make sense with each other. They don't make sense with each other. So there's like you were saying, like the ball being thrown that got you to IGN and then Kind of Funny and then to your film one day is all kind of in a straight line, but like none of my shit is near each other. And so like I didn't realize in my head that I had to like figure out a way to fuse these things as best as I could, which I did specifically with history and with games. And that's when I wrote all those pieces that everyone, a lot of people love, like about, the history of all these studios. And I tried to marry those things as well as I can. But I'm glad that I'm still in this position today. Like even though like I wonder and I look down where that other ball went over the horizon because it's so far away now, I'm like, well, like I have no problem being where I am right now. It's a blessing to be here. We have a great audience. Our company is great. I work with great people. I have great friends here. I've been in California for almost 9 years. It seems like it went by like that. I never thought in a million years I would be back here. I thought I'd be back on Long Island or in Boston or doing something else. So life takes you in unexpected places, but I'll always wonder. And not in a longing, pining sort of way. I would just always wonder like about what if you went in a different direction, would you be longing for this too? And I think the answer, of course, is yes. So that's why I think you can't have any regret about the decisions you make in a kind of a systemic way, because it's like, well, you're always going to wonder, the grass is always greener somewhere else, but until it's not, because it almost never is. But I've tried to gain control of my life in such a way that I can continue to do this because I love games and I love talking about games and I love talking to you guys. I love doing our products. We do, the GameOverGreggy show and Conversation with Colin and all that kind of stuff. That's fun. And people seem to really enjoy it and it resonates with people. But I also I need to execute more and stop being so lazy in my spare time because I can tick off some of these boxes. I can play men's league hockey at Yerna Bueno like that. I can get a studio, get my drum kit and put it in there and play whenever I want. I can do all these things. I just don't. So it's like ultimately on me and my own shoulders, and I can read more and I can be engaged more in politics and all that kind of stuff.
You say that, but you are probably if you actually look at yourself and compare yourself with the rest of the population, you're probably one of the most high performing individuals in the world. Literally, if you compared yourself against 99% of other humans in the United States, you probably in terms of energy and smarts and expertise and using your time well, you probably outperform most everybody. So you also have to be kind to yourself, as you're thinking about it. You just said I'm too lazy. Oh my God. If you ask, and the people in the chat room were they know that you guys bust your asses. They know this is a lot of work. You got to balance the longing with more, the longing for more that humans just have. Humans always want more. That's I think why our species is so cool. But you got to balance that also with being kind to yourself. Because if you want too much more and if you're too hard on yourself for that, then you're just depressed and miserable all the time. So there's this hard balance that you got to strike with being ambitious, but then also taking a step back and being I'm on this crazy show that is reaching so many people right now, and you gotta have that both. You gotta have both to really feel happy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was very kind of you to say. I feel this grounds me though. This is the thing about what we do more than any of the other things. Studying history, for instance, is about the past and it's about living in the past and being obsessed with it, which I am. And playing music is emotion and a more visceral feeling. There's nothing more. I love nothing more than picking. When I walk in here, every time I pick up a guitar and I just start playing it, or I sit behind the drums and look upstairs when we're here in the early morning and hope no one's here, and then I just play for a little while or something like that. Until I know someone's gonna get annoyed, so I stop.
You did. I did this morning. There was one, and no one was here. And the second you started playing, someone came out of one of those little conference rooms, very nice, and was and just walked away, and I was oh, I feel bad for that guy because he was probably gonna start a call.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you could have said something. I don't know.
He was very nice.
I looked around. I've tried because I thought you were here. Nonetheless, what I'm saying is this grounds me. I tweeted not too long ago. Nothing about what we do resonates with me more than when I read our Facebook messages, our private messages, or go through our email, or get forwards, or read tweets where it's you changed my life, or something you said made me study this, and now I got my first job. And I'm really? I said this thing 6 years ago and you really followed through on it and now you're happy and successful. We touched really hundreds of thousands of people. And so you can't trade that for the world, and I wouldn't, so it's not to say that I have any regrets about doing what we do now. It's just to say I am ever curious,
you should be. You have a curious brain.
Yeah.
It's a crazy brain.
It's crippling sometimes.
It is. It's a beautiful brain though.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful mind.
That feeling that you have though, honestly, I'm sorry if I feel if I'm repeating myself here, but that's why humans are gonna land on Mars.
Yeah.
Because our species feels like that all the time. We just want to explore. That's why humans are so cool, And I think it's good to recognize that that's a positive force in our lives. That's a positive thing. It's good to want more. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy with what I have. And it's both. It's got to be both. That's one of the biggest lessons I've had at Patreon is I'd say for the last year, I've been kind of, okay, I mean, I know folks seem happy and everything here, and we are to a large extent, but I also have been a little negative with the team, I think, about man, our product isn't good enough for our creators. We need to push, this needs to be better, this is broken, this didn't get fixed fast enough. I've been negative, and it's been too negative. And I realized that in the last month, you gotta balance that with holy shit, we're sending millions of dollars a month to creators. We are awesome. And there's more things that we can do to be even more awesome. And let's do those. It really is about that balance.
But that's tough, right? We're the same way. We only talk to each other when one of us fucks up. We don't talk about all the amazing things everybody does on a daily basis, right? Kevin edits every Let's Play, but the only one we'll talk about is one where he fucks something up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? where we do all these. I put up every PS I love you. The only feedback I get on Colin is the one that I fucked up, the SoundCloud link. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just how it works, because that's how we are able to prioritize things, right? It's when there's trouble afoot, that's when something needs to be said, not the fact of love and sex stuff was great. Nick and Tim should have said that, you know what I mean? Like this episode that went up on Monday was really fucking funny.
We can all be better about that.
Exactly.
Because we have expectations that things just happen.
Yeah.
Like Tim deals with the business and Nick deals with business. I'm just like, I don't know. Like I just have expectations, but like when I make a typo in a tweet, then I'll get a text being like, well, I deleted that. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know,
Exactly.
we're all about.
We tell you about the one tweet that got fucked up, not the 96 other ones you put out that were fine and great.
Yeah, so it's like, no, we get it, and it's the same thing with PS I Love You. You're right, like because we just have expectations. Like I think the blessing and the problem with Kind of Funny as a corporation is that it works so well, but you don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that each individual person is kind of putting into it on a daily basis, and so like you just have expectations. Like, of course we're getting paid. I don't know. Nick spent fucking how many hours doing that? I don't know. I just get paid. So
at first it was a lot. Now it's pretty automated.
So I think you're right. Like positivity can go a long way. I've certainly suffered from that more than anyone. I'm certainly like an inherently pessimistic person. So it's like I have to fight that like every day to make sure that it's not grating on other people or wearing off on other people. Because the last thing I want is for like a pessimistic Greg. That's why we work, is because Greg's optimistic and I'm So it's like, I don't know. You're right.
Check this out. Check this out. On Twitch right now in the chat room, there are product thinkers, product minds at Twitch who are fucking great. And one of the techniques they use to make this chat flowing right now, I'm zooming way out, super systemic. They optimize the shit out of this chat room. They have emoji and logos and custom things that, groups you can call your fans and names for things. And there's a whole experience happening in this chat that is optimized to give people in the chat and to give you guys who are running the show positive feedback. That positive feedback makes you want to do more shows, and it makes people want to leave more chats. That is a purposeful thing that's in the chat room. It doesn't mean it's not bad. It's not like evil or dark or anything. It's very transparent. The chat is built to make conversation amazing and positive. Management is the same way. Personal management. When you're managing a person or a team or people, when you see a behavior that is amazing, you call it out and you write an amazing email. One of the greatest CEOs that I know wrote this. I saw this email that he wrote to the team. Someone sent him an email and said, hey, Dan, the trash outside is all packed and like the dumpsters are overflowing. They took a picture and you see overflow dumpsters outside the company. This guy runs 30 companies. Yeah. And an employee sends him an email saying the dumpsters are full, right? I think a lot of CEOs would send him an email back, be like, so fucking tell facilities and shut up, go away. Dan, the CEO, writes an email to the entire company, like tens of thousands of people, attaches a picture and says, everybody look at this email that I just got. This is high level. Look at how aware and how awesome this employee is. Look at how much they care about this company, that they even care about the trash, overflowing trash. When you drive into work, it's not nice to see overflowing dumpsters. So he reinforced that positive behavior and it empowers everyone at the company. And so when you guys are talking about like not sending enough positive signals to each other when you do good things, like it might work because it's a team of 5, but when the team gets bigger, you got to reinforce positive behavior in product with users. You got to do it with people, with teams. Like positive reinforcement gets shit cranking.
I'm into it.
Yeah,
it does.
It gives me much to think about.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. Good job. I'm not doing it during the thing. You did the knock. No, this is a 1000%
the pills are wearing
serious.
off. Give me more of that Molly or whatever you gave me earlier.
You gave him Molly before the show?
I think you gave me Molly.
It was Zyrtec.
It was Zyrtec.
Why was I touching myself
close.
so much then?
You always do that.
If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny where you can toss us a few bucks, get every episode early, along with some exclusive perks and episodes. If you don't like that and don't have any bucks, go to youtube.com/kindafunny where we post the entire show topic by topic, day by day, until the entire thing posts as one big video in MP3 on Friday. Jack, thank you for everything. Changing our lives, doing this, coming on the show, letting us have this space.
You guys are the best. Thank you
you're the
for
best.
having me.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you,
guys are the
Patreon,
best.
of course. And thank you for watching. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.